As a book reader, let me just say, Dune 2 is going to blow people's minds. Do you think Denis Villeneuve has in a way become the new Nolan? He has the power, prestige, and I'd argue a better hot streak. No. Because what he doesn't have is box office success like Nolan. He has, if you're just talking about quality of his films, yes, I will give you Denis Villeneuve, hot streak, putting out great films. But what Nolan was able to do, starting with Batman Begins, was put out movies that made money. And he had several of them make $1 billion. And so when you can make $1 billion and then do Inception and then do another movie that makes $1 billion, you are putting out movies that are loved by audiences and critics and selling movie tickets. That's where you get true power, because you're doing all of the different things. Denis Villeneuve isn't there yet. He did some smaller thriller type films that were well reviewed, but performed well enough for their budgets. And then he does Arrival that did really well, but not $1 billion well. And he does Blade Runner, which was not profitable. People thought it was really good, but they spent a lot of money on a movie that was never really going to be able to be profitable at how much they spent on it. And so, I think Blade Runner 2049, I think, performed great for how well that movie should perform. Because this is not a movie that is designed to appeal to this gigantic, broad audience, but they spent the money on it like it was designed to appeal to a big, broad audience. And then he does Dune. It's really, really tough to analyze how well Dune did versus how well it should have done, for the very obvious reason that it came out still during the COVID era of movie releases, and in particular as part of Warner Brothers HBO Max day and date release strategy. So parts of the world and country, there are people not leaving their houses. People weren't going back to the movies like normal just yet. It was very shortly after Delta. It was just right after Delta had kind of cleared out, and it was day and date release. So, I don't think Dune ever would have been $1 billion film, because it's not Star Wars. It's not something that is I can take my 10-year-old to. It's for people that are a little bit older and more mature. That's why I loved it. That's why it was huge for me that it was grown-up sci-fi. It's not designed for the lowest common denominator or the broadest possible audience. That's kind of why his movies are great. It's the same reason that they don't have as broad of appeal. So when he can find a way to make a movie that has this broad of appeal while maintaining that maturity, then I think he's in that same category as Nolan. And I think that's where Nolan was able to do that with something like Inception, that is very dense, it's very cerebral, it's also very exciting and fun. That's the difference. And maybe Villeneuve doesn't want that, and that's also why careers are tough to compare. Scorsese, also someone that doesn't put out fast, broad appeal movies. He's had some big, gigantic hits out there, nonetheless. But Scorsese, comparing him to Spielberg, well, Spielberg is making popcorn movies for everyone. He's made a lot of those. This is not what Scorsese does. If you compare them, it's a weird comparison. And maybe that's a little bit like what comparing Nolan and Villeneuve is. But that's actually a really interesting question, because that's where I see the differences. Because Nolan picked the strategy of, I'll do a trilogy of franchise films and leverage that to get the money to be able to do my original ideas. I think because he pulled it off, he's in such a unique spot as a director that has so much goodwill with audiences, critics, and studios, that I don't think you can say Villeneuve is in that same place. Most of these clips are pulled from my weekly Patreon live stream. Join at any level and you can join the chat and ask all the questions you want. That's for as little as $2 per month. For $5 per month, you can get your name on my end card. For $25 per month, you can have a monthly video chat with me. Link is in the description for more details, and keep talking movies and TV too much.